Welcome to After Hours. Besides, I think we're episode 6 or 7. I don't even remember. But today I am playing on a Shires Destino III. Let me find that. Shires Severinsen Destino III. And it's serial number 350. It's very tiny. It's a fairly lightweight horn. It has a pretty big throat before the flare, so it's got a nice warm tone, and the bell is heavier than normal. It's not a lightweight bell at all, and I don't know what bore it is. I have not measured that. It feels fairly open, but very nice. So far I like the horn. And this one is in all raw brass. I think it may have been finished that way originally because I don't see any remnants of lacquer, and you can still see solder on the joints all over the place. So that must be a Shires thing to leave the solder there. But it doesn't look like it was repaired or anything else. It looks like a fairly new horn. The lead pipe says Y17, and my overall impression so far is that I like the horn. So I'm playing through some of the Arvins. What you heard just now was sped up so that you didn't have to be bored with all the actual playing. That was page 91, preparatory exercises on the turn. I've been playing those quite a bit in my sessions, and I just used that as my warm-up just now. So now we're going to go on to, see if I can find it here. Back a little bit. Okay, page 135, number 23. I'm going to pause there just for a second. I was going to mention, before I started this practice session, I went out and chopped some wood. And I always think it's a good idea to do something physical, get your blood flowing, so that you actually have like a physical approach to the trumpet. Because I do believe that playing trumpet is something that is physical. If you're in good shape and you stay in good shape and you get your blood pumping before you start, it's probably going to help. A lot of people will do a lot of stuff with their lips to get started. Today I did nothing. I just started playing, and we'll finish this one. So that one's done. I took a pause halfway through. The reason I paused was because I started to get a little bit of a double buzz. Yesterday I gave a lesson and I could not find my mouthpiece. I couldn't find my mouthpiece rim. The irony is, the 5mm modular mouthpiece, you know you can interchange all the parts. So you can take the rim and the cup and all that stuff apart. The problem was, I brought all of my personal rims home, and I don't offer them for sale. So I literally did not have my own rim to play, and I had to play on an older mouthpiece that I used to play like 10 years ago. And it didn't really mess me up, but definitely things don't feel like they're in the right spot. So that's, I guess, my challenge for today. All right, we're going to go to the next page. So you may be able to hear some of that double buzz. It's happening on my top lip, and I'm pretty certain it's because I was playing on a different rim yesterday. Now I'm going to go to a buzzing exercise some of you have seen. I'm just going to play a few notes. So that buzzing exercise is something I really recommend doing, where you're pulling the mouthpiece off of your top or bottom lip, depending on which one may normally buzz those notes. Or you can really pull it away from both if you'd like. But that gives you the opportunity to work your aperture control. So in other words, your lips are getting smaller and more open as you go higher and lower. And a lot of times that will help me get past issues like the one I'm having with double buzzing. However, it may not go away because I did play some high stuff on that mouthpiece, and since I haven't been playing every day, it probably messed me up a little bit. I'm going on to 136, number 25. So I am still getting the double buzz. It feels like over A, you know, like G and A, that's where it starts to happen. And I'm really not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to play through it, and then I'm going to keep things a little lower today after this one. All right. I'm going to put the Arvins away for a minute. I'm actually just going to push my stand down. And this time, I'm just going to make up something very simple. And then I'm going to play it in every key. So I messed myself up a little bit, but I'm taking this little motif and putting it through every key. I'm going to do a simpler one so it will be easier for you to hear. I'm just going to play the first three notes of the scale. And then I'm going to go down chromatically. So first three notes of C. So I'm playing the first three notes of each scale. They're all major. Fluidly get through all the keys using something that you're not reading. It's really, really, really important to know your way around the horn, or the piano or whatever instrument you're playing in every key, major and minor, without having to look at music. And to be honest, for me to look at music is very difficult. I have a hard time interpreting all the stuff because there's so much information and my brain actually just can't take it all in. I have this weird thing where my visual cortex doesn't get enough blood. And because it doesn't, I can't actually see everything. So if I pan around a room, I don't see it all. And this has really been something I've dealt with my whole life. But if I stare at one thing, then I can get lost in just one little section of it, and it's hard for me to take in the next measure. So it's easier for me to memorize music than it is to look at it. But regardless, it's also just great for all of us to be able to have facility on the horn and not have to read everything. So now I'm going to do the same thing in minor. I'm going to oil these valves before they drive me crazy. So doing simple things like that is a great start. I'd recommend expanding on this and making things more complicated. You want to do things like your arpeggios, of course, and a lot of that is written in books, but learn to do that without music as well. So I'll do a few arpeggios after I oil these valves, and then we'll hit on that more in our next lesson. Or not really a lesson, but practice session. All right. Now we're going to move on to music. I am back on the Charlier #1, and today I'm just going to practice the hard parts. So the parts I always screw up. Yeah, so that modulation section looks like line 5 right at the end of the page. Alright, so that stuff sounds really weird all by itself. Remember, the theme is this. So that's really where we're coming from. And I'm just working on the parts that are extra difficult for me. I'm taking them as motifs, just one little section. Hey, that's one idea. Here's another one, here's another one. And then I'll sleep on it. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play the hard stuff. I'm trying to internalize it. That's a fun part because it skips chromatically just one note. So there's one whole step in there. Alright, I feel like I kind of own that one. The next one. Interesting. So it's typically French composers that really love to modulate all over the place so quickly, and somehow they get away with it. If you play any of these things out of context, the Charlier sounds absolutely screwy and weird. But if you play it in context, it's just genius. And I love it. I mean, this part is really cool. My hand is in the way of my side of the music. I'm just working on that one section. And And, I was hoping to get through the first 2 Charlier in the first week. Years ago, I could have gotten through them probably in the first day. But I'm really taking my time to learn this stuff. And I've also just been doing a lot of other stuff. So because this is after hours and we're talking about more than just playing trumpet, I want to share with you guys a huge win for me that you're not going to see a lot of publicity on for a little while. But last week I finally finished the first complete production model Muse trumpet, which means it's the horn that has the Venturi gap receiver, so you can adjust flexibility, sliding airflow, all that stuff. But the lead pipe is segmented. It's machined in shorter segments. And just like all of our lead pipes, all of our machine lead pipes are like that. And you can interchange them. And the reason we machine them in short segments is because it's actually more accurate and it's better. You could machine a lead pipe out of a long piece, but by doing so, you'll be breaking quite a few rules in machining, and you're most likely not going to produce an accurate lead pipe. And we've confirmed this not only by trying to do it, but also by measuring other lead pipes that have been machined. So if you measure a lead pipe that's, say like 9 or 10 inches long, and you look for the accuracy, you can actually see the machining marks right inside the lead pipe on something that long. And that's because you've got a piece of stock this long and a cutter that long. And the cutter and the stock, when they're hitting the very edges on the outside, then they chatter. They literally vibrate. And even if you cut them at very slow feed rates, they will still chatter and the accuracy will be lost. So instead of breaking all the rules of machining, we do it by the book and we get it right. So I'm really excited because not only do we have these segmented lead pipes that are extremely accurate, but you can interchange them. So you can build your own lead pipes. And I will be bringing my first Muse set in, the first one that I'll build for myself, probably after Thanksgiving. But it's really exciting to me because I'm going to have the whole set up here somewhere, and I'll have bells on the wall, and we can pull them right off and try different things and really see how we can change the feel of the horn, the tone color, the intonation by changing the lead pipe. And icing on the cake, you can change the bells, and I think I have a total of 17 bells for my personal Muse trumpet. So I'm going to make some space on one of my walls here somewhere, and we'll set all that stuff up. So, all right, enough talking. I'm going to get back to playing. Sometimes the fingerings of a piece can be tricky, and for whatever reason, I found that playing them up or down a half step or a whole step can actually help you lock them in place. And maybe it's because I've trained myself to do things like that, to play things in all different keys. But what I was doing right there was just, I have this one little spot. And I'm just playing it down a half step because it reinforces the actual pitches and intervals rather than the specific notes. And a lot of times I think it's really easy as a performer, when you go into the practice room, especially classical performers, you go into the practice room and you really try to get everything perfect. But you can get so focused on those notes. Did I hit it right? Was it in tune? All that stuff that you lose the context. So putting it in another key can almost force you to put it back into context. It's almost like Mary Had a Little Lamb. So I'm playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and at first it probably sounded kind of mechanical. And it would sound like, oh man, this guy's going to really suck at playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I did that intentionally because what happens is a lot of times we read the music and we're like, and so forth. There's a difference between playing the notes correctly and exactly and precisely all that stuff and making it musical. Musical isn't actually precise. It's not going to be exactly as written because it's going to sound like phrases. And the phrases rarely are really marked in the music. So even on Mary Had a Little Lamb, you can start out and be like, oh, this is the song, but how can you make it musical? And taking those little motifs and putting them in different keys a lot of times came out. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today in After Hours, and I want to thank Shires for making these beautiful instruments. I really love the engraving on the bell. I was looking at it closely, and it looks like at least this part is done by machine where the text is. And I wonder, does anyone know, are these hand engraved or are they done by machine? They look to me like they were completely done by a machine. And I have to say, the machine did a good job. You know, if you can't afford a hand engraver, because there aren't many left, and I know I've cut my thumb enough times, I don't want to do it anymore either. But really beautiful. The horn sounds really nice. It's warmer and darker than I would have expected. And I should push it a couple times just on camera so you guys can hear that, because I haven't pushed it. Well, in this dead basement, it sounds pretty interesting. It still has a really big warm sound. I don't feel like it's ever going to break up, really. For a standard model horn, it feels to me like warmer and bigger than a Bach 72 bell, you know? So, what a cool horn. I definitely wouldn't expect that this would be a lead horn, and I don't know if Doc actually is playing lead on it or not. It could be he has a mouthpiece that's really bright, and this kind of balances it out. But for me, my mouthpiece is not bright, and it definitely sounds big and warm. All right, I'll catch you guys next time.